Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to my top 5 locomotives of 2020. This year I have reviewed some absolutely stunning models. The standard has been so incredibly high, I'm sure you'll all agree with that. I've also reviewed quite a few rotters, and if you want to see those, I have done a video of my worst model trains of 2020. But today we're going to be looking at some of the very best. So as you know, these are locomotives that I've reviewed this year. They're not necessarily new releases for this year. And also I'm filming this in early December, I think it's the 3rd today. So I am waiting on some more models to still come out that I'm hoping to review before Christmas. So obviously if they do break the top 5, they're not going to be in this top 5 video. I've no way of knowing at the moment. But if that does happen, I'm going to put them into next year's ranking so that they have a chance of being in the top 5 for next year. But here we go then, top 5 model trains of 2020. They are incredible. I've just been looking at them. They really, really are. So here comes the first one then. This is number 5. This, of course, is the Hornby Class 56. And this is a reasonably old model. This is, I think, more than 10 years old, and yet it still absolutely blew me away. The main reason why it blew me away was the insane level of detail, and you'll remember this if you saw the review. So it's got etched grills, so many separately fitted details, the decoration was marvellous, the lights were really good and bright, I loved the lights. You've got moving fans, pity they weren't motorised, but they did move, sprung buffers, opening doors. I don't think I've ever seen that on a 00 locomotive before. The doors are posable, and the underframe detail just blew me away. It was absolutely wonderful. This model was also incredibly heavy. It weighed in at 612 grams, which is second only to the Helgen Garrett. And you've seen the Helgen Garrett, it's a ridiculously huge thing. And the reason for all that weight is this massive metal chassis, which is incredibly bulky. It's also mechanically sound as well. This model features all-wheel drive, all-wheel pickup. It's got an incredibly heavy-duty 5-pole motor with dual flywheels. And of course, not only is the mechanism good, the performance matches it. It is such a wonderful performer. Look at the slow crawl. It's so incredibly smooth. It's so powerful as well. A really, really powerful locomotive. The only reason this model didn't score higher and sort of rank higher in the top 5 was the quality. I did find 1 or 2 quality issues. The most annoying thing was the wires that wire up the lights. So when you remove the body, you've got all these wires which all broke and I had to resolder them. That wasn't very good at all. With an RRP of £169.99, all of that detail and the wonderful features do come at a little bit of a premium, but I would argue that in this case you do get exactly what you paid for, and I paid £121 from the retailers, which I thought was very reasonable indeed. So there you go, that is number 5, the Hornby Class 56, an absolutely stunning model. I absolutely love mine. Okay, let's move on then to number 4. Now, if you thought the detail of the 56 was good, you have seen nothing yet. Here comes number 4 then. It is, of course, the Rapido J70. Absolutely amazing, this one. Just look at this model. This is a tiny model, barely 10 centimetres long, I would estimate, and yet the number of separately fitted parts is just absolutely insane. So you've got the separately fitted chains, also alternative chains if you wanted to change them. Again, you've got separately fitted windows with alternative windows if you wanted to model the windows open. That's just such an opportunity for customization for modelers, unlike anything I've ever seen before. You've got the metal sprung buffers, intricate roof detail. Look at all of these separately fitted parts on the roof. The quality was just absolutely epic. So we've got this fully die-cast underframe, which was also really nicely decorated, as you can tell. And you've also got a fully die-cast locomotive boiler inside the body, which is complete with controls and all of the details that you'd expect on a standard steam locomotive. When I bought this model, I had no idea that there would actually be a realistic interior inside, which shows all the workings and everything. It's just absolutely wonderful. Now, mechanically, this loco does run a coreless motor, and I'm not a huge fan of those. However, the rest of the mechanism was top notch, and it includes a huge flywheel, as you can also see. And very fortunately, the performance was really quite good as well. We have seen sort of smoother runners, I would say, but overall the performance was really, really solid. So you've got a fantastic crawl. This loco can do a really, really good crawl. And because of all the weight, it's actually a good puller as well. Now, again, this is not a cheap locomotive. It did cost me a fair bit. The RRP is £127.50, and I paid £110 from Model Rail. So it's quite a lot of money for a locomotive of this size, but once again, you absolutely get what you pay for. And this is the thing, I don't have a problem with expensive models. People always say, oh, why do you moan about the prices? I don't. If you get what you pay for, if the quality and the detail is there, then make the prices as high as you like, but be careful, because if they're too high, the expectations will be too high as well. In the case of the J70 though, everything worked perfectly, and therefore the price was 100%, if not more, justified. For third place then, I'm really pleased to say that we're moving into O gauge. In fact, this was the first O gauge locomotive I reviewed, but it's also, I still think, one of the best. So here it comes now. It is the Dapol Terrier in O gauge, and as you can see, this is in the fantastic LSWR green, which has just grown on me even more since the review. I love it. So first of all, well, let's carry on with that theme then, the decoration. This locomotive is a masterclass in decoration. I could not fault the decoration. 100% perfect in every way. Absolutely loved it. The boiler lining, the splashes, even the wheels were nicely painted. It just looks marvellous. But of course, it does not end there. The quality was just wonderful as well. You've got the die-cast running plate, metal whistle. Look at that. That just looks fantastic. Metal copper chimney top. And on top of all of that, it was assembled so beautifully. It looked so pristine. I can't imagine the real locomotives ever looking this good, frankly. The quality was just top-notch, unbelievable. Mechanically, this loco was top-notch as well. It's got this massive 5-pole motor. I mean, this is not a particularly powerful locomotive in model form, and yet it's got this ridiculously huge motor with a trunky flywheel as well. The motor itself is far larger than anything I've seen in double O gauge. You've also got full bearings on the wheel set too, which enable nice smooth running. And speaking of the running, look at this. It is such a beautiful smooth runner. The performance didn't quite get 5-star because the slow speed crawl wasn't absolutely fantastic, and this is new footage right here. It's still not crawling as good as some other O gauge locos that I've looked at, and there might be some more coming up soon. But overall, the performance does not drag the score down too much, so it is deserving, I think, of third on the rankings for this year. I'm yet to talk about the most impressive aspect of this model though, and that is of course the value for money. This is another classic example of you just getting every penny of what you paid for. So the RRP is £225, and that is similar to tiny double O gauge locomotives. Some double O locos are up to that price point now, and yet here we are in O gauge and this level of quality, and we're still £225, and that's the RRP. You can get these for less. They're available at Hatton's now for below £200 if you want to check those out. I've got links below. Wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. The Dapol Terriers, if you're thinking of starting in O gauge, this is a fantastic way to begin. This is the way I began, and I do not regret it at all. Fantastic models. Alright, so we're back to double O gauge then for number 2 on the rankings, and it is of course this, the Bachmann Class 37, and just seeing it rolled up into shot here, you can get an idea of just how marvellous this model is. Now, the really shocking thing about this model is that I knew it was quite a few years old, more than 10 years old I believe. I only paid £99 from Rails of Sheffield, so my expectations were really not very high at all for this. As soon as I got it out of the box, though, I knew that I was completely wrong because I was blown away almost immediately. Well, let's talk about the decoration because it was sublime on this model. The decoration, fantastic, lots of it as well. It's really quite complex, and also the weathering was really competent as well. I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it as a weathered locomotive, but it was actually quite subtle, the weathering, and for that I really didn't mind it too much. Now, the level of detail was easily matching modern standards, again despite this being a slightly older model. Unlike the Hall class on my worst model trains of 2020, this fits perfectly into the modern range because it's just been designed to such a high standard. So we had etched nameplates in the detail bag, as you can see, quite a few different etched parts actually. You've got separately fitted grills, although they weren't etched unfortunately. You've got incredible moulding on the bogies, it just looks so realistic. Separately fitted aerials, sprung buffers, you've even got a driver fitted into the cab, and some modern new releases don't even have that. Yeah, the level of detail was absolutely wonderful. The mechanism was probably one of the best I'd ever seen as well. It just ticks all of the boxes. It just leaves no room for criticism at all. So it's got all-wheel pickup, all-wheel drive, proper metal bearings on every single axle, a really heavy chassis block bringing the weight up to 534 grams, that's more than half a kilogram. You've got spring-loaded lighting contacts for easy body removal, and again a really huge motor with flywheels fitted. It was just a joy to remove the body and see what was going on inside. Not only was the mechanism great on paper though, it also shows through in the performance. This, I'm going to go out and say now, is the best diesel I have for performance. I've thought about this, I've looked at the other diesels I own. I really don't think I own a better diesel than this as far as performance is concerned. The crawl is just incredible. This is 500 grams and it's just scooting along as though it weighs next to nothing. There must be so little friction in the mechanism. It's so constant as well in its speed. You can load it up as much as you like and it doesn't slow down on curves. Gordon's Hill, well, what is Gordon's Hill? It might as well be downhill for all it matters. It's mightily powerful as well. I'm yet to find a load that it cannot manage, and it's also ultra reliable. I don't think I've ever seen it derail, not even on the points. It never cuts out or anything on points because it's got pickups on every wheel. It's just a model locomotive. It really is. So as you can see, my expectations were thoroughly shattered by this locomotive. I was just not expecting it to be this fantastic, and yet even now, even though I've owned it for several months, I'm still blown away by the sheer quality of this thing. So well done, Bachmann. Let's hope they can bring some of that quality into their steam locomotives, which they kind of are doing, by the way. Their latest steamers, while they have been much more expensive than other brands, they do at least sort of match them in terms of quality, which is really great. Even so, Bachmann's diesels, get yourselves one. They're just so good. So here you have them then, numbers 2, 3, 4 and 5 on my rankings. Absolutely fantastic models, but let's find out then what the best model of the year in my opinion was. It is O-Gauge, so let's go over to the O-Gauge layout. Here we go, and here it comes now. So this is another Dapol locomotive. It is the Sentinel in O-Gauge, as I say. Now, this model really did blow me away. And the thing I would say about this is that it's absolute quality. I really cannot fault the design and the features. They are wonderful. So you've got this die-cast running plate, which makes the model so heavy, even though it's actually way smaller than the Terrier that we looked at earlier on. It's actually heavier, would you believe that? And don't forget, this model is mostly empty space. You've got a fully realistic cab, which isn't full of motor and all of that other stuff. It is literally empty space, just like the real thing would be, and yet it weighs so much more than the Terrier, like I say. The decoration was extremely complex as well, and yet it was pulled off to an incredible standard. Look at the wasp stripes there. Look at those as closely as you like. They are absolutely perfect. And it's not just the wasp stripes, there's all sorts of other printing as well, which is done to an incredibly high standard. The level of detail was wonderful as well. Like I say, the interior was probably the most impressive aspect. You've got the boiler inside there, all of the controls and all of the gauges are modelled. You've got the opening doors, which I love. I just love that feature, such a realistic little touch. You've got the chimney, which reaches right through the ceiling, just like the real thing would. And then externally, there's some amazing features as well. Again, we've got a metal whistle. I mean, they just look fantastic, don't they? It's just quality. When you see metal parts, you just think quality. I do, anyway. You just can't help it. The underframe is so detailed. You can see the chain drives go into the axles. It's just so good to look at. And I can't fault the mechanism either. I was really impressed with the mechanism, given the fact that there's really not that much space for a mechanism, having included such a realistic interior. But they still did a great job. So you've got traditional pickups to all of the wheels, full metal bearings, a reasonably chunky motor for the loco's size actually, and a flywheel too. And it even has a firebox glow, which is visible from the outside. Just little features like that just make a model wonderful, don't they? I was amazed when I saw that. I don't think I realised that it had that feature when I first got it running. It's just one of those things that catches your eye and you just think, yes. This was a good buy. I do not regret this purchase at all. It's also a shockingly good performer. The crawl was wonderful, a lot better than the Terrier actually, really good crawl. Immense pulling power, again as a result of its weight, and it's also very reliable despite effectively being an 040 with only 4 pickups going to the track, 2 on each rail. I've never seen the thing cut out. It just runs super smoothly, super reliably. I don't have enough wagons to make it struggle, so it's more than powerful enough for a thing of this size. And yet again, the most amazing part is the value for money. So this has an RRP of £175. That's cheaper, that's £5 cheaper than Bachmann's D11 in double O gauge, and you can find a whole host of locomotives in double O gauge which are far more expensive than this thing, and lighter and less detailed as well, by the way. and they're available at Hattons for £149. That's the minimum. I think they do go up to £175 for the different versions, but value for money is just something else. I cannot express how much I've enjoyed running this loco since I got it. It's by far my most run O-Gauge locomotive, because when I decide I'm going to run O-Gauge, that's my go-to loco. I just grab that one, and that's the one I enjoy the most. So there you have it then. You have now seen my top 5 model trains of 2020. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think? Do you agree with my picks? Are there any locos that I've reviewed this year which you think deserve to be in the top 5, which weren't? Please do let me know. I hope you've enjoyed this video though. Like I say, I wasn't kidding, was I? The standard of models this year has just been incredible, and that's good. That's what we like. Yes, there are some bad ones out there, but really the vast majority this year have been really, really good. So thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing Christmas, and I will see you very, very soon. All right, cheers everybody. Take care.